Today's episode of the Riderflex podcast is sponsored by our friends at Rocky's Venture Club, an angel investing group dedicated to accelerating economic development by educating and connecting investors and entrepreneurs. Their mission is to advance economic development in the Rocky Mountain region. So let's talk about the types of founders you invest in. We talked a lot about the types of companies. Talk to me about the people, the aspect, right? When you got founders sitting in front of you and you're thinking, okay, you guys got a nice technology. I like what you've done there. It looks like it's scalable, blah, blah, blah. But then you got Johnny and Mary and they're in front of you. And for whatever reason, you like the technology, but you're just thinking to yourself, I'm not investing in these people. Talk to me about the difference, the difference between the types of founders you invest in and the type you pass on.
Yeah, I'd say, let me start with the most important thing, which is a requirement, is domain expertise, right? So the questions you ask are, okay, why this product? Like, what are you really solving for? Are you solving for anything? Why this market? Is it a big market? Am I going to make enough money? Why now? Like, is now a good time to invest? Or maybe I just let them play out a little bit more and I come back, or maybe I'm too late. And then it's why them, which is what you're addressing, right? And the why them, the first thing is, well, you got to have some domain expertise. I mean, if you don't really know what you're talking about, or if you haven't been there, done that, or like you haven't done the necessary research to fully understand, how do I know somebody else isn't going to come by that has that expertise and just create a better product, right? Mm-hmm. So you need to either have the domain expertise as in having lived it, maybe had this problem that you're solving for, or surrounded yourself with a support team that fills the gaps in what you have, right? That's kind of the must-have, right? I think the next thing that I think most venture people will tell you, at least in Colorado, is the airport layover test. You know that one? So
I don't. No.
Airport layover test is, so you and I, maybe we're flying from Denver to New York City and we get to the airport. We're on the same flight. We don't know each other. And we're delayed for 2 hours. So what do we both do? We both go to the bar. We get a cheeseburger. We go watch whatever sports would be on, right?
Yeah.
We're sitting next to each other, and the question is, do you pass the layover test? Could we spend 2 hours together, hanging out, drinking a beer, and would we enjoy each other's company? We don't have to be best friends, but can we enjoy each other's company? Can we build a rapport? Right. Because if you can't build a rapport, you can't build trust. And if you can't build trust, you can't build an authentic relationship, right? Mm-hmm. And one pitfall of entrepreneurs that have investors that I see is they wait too long to tell bad news. You tell bad news early, and I don't care if you never tell me good news, because it'll show up, right? But you say bad news early, and if you don't have trust, you're never going to tell your investor that. So I think that airport, that was a long way to explain the airport layover test, but that's an important one for me too. I want it to be a good person, an authentic relationship that we develop. I think the last thing that really we kind of look for in these entrepreneurs is, do they have a clear vision? Do they have clear convictions of what they believe is going to work? But are they willing to listen to maybe viewpoints that aren't in tune with exactly what they think, right? Because if you're just here for my money, I'm not, money's a commodity. There's money in a lot of places. We're not the right firm for you, right? But if you're willing to discuss what you believe is right and then have a discussion, not a monologue about it, then that's the type of entrepreneur that we're looking to have, because nobody's perfect. Nobody knows everything. And I think, I know I'm not the smartest guy in the room, right? But you just got to surround yourselves with people who can fill those gaps. And so that's the type of person we're looking for, who's a little self-aware, willing to listen, and willing to take advice as well.
What are some of the biggest mistakes you see, or most common, in the pitches where they're pitching for cash? Can you talk about that for a second?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think don't assume the people you're pitching to know things.
Right.
So, we could all be very smart people. We could know exactly what you're talking about, or the companies that you're referencing. But on the other end, we may have no idea what you're talking about. We might be polite and smiling and nodding. You don't raise money from politeness. You raise money through informative, right, decision making. So
that's good. That's good.
Yeah. So I think explain everything, over-explain everything. And if somebody says, I understand this, then you move on, and that's fine. But I think, really communicating and focusing on why you are different, why your product is different, why you're adding value in the marketplace. I think that's the most important thing that we want to hear. And sometimes that's the stuff that's glossed over. I think pausing to ask if there's any questions is actually important. I'm not sure I always get that.
Okay.
And opening up for dialogue is key. I think a lot of people skip over. And then don't. I think some people tend to be sometimes defensive or confrontational. And there's no need. I mean, look, if you're gonna raise money from outside investors, you're not gonna raise money from every company you pitch to. So all feedback is important feedback. No need to get confrontational. Take notes, listen to the feedback, listen to the questions you get. And then kind of work with it, right? So that's kind of where.
And how about the length? How about the length of their pitch deck, or does the PowerPoint and the material even mean anything to you, or it means a little bit, and you care more about their presentation, or just talk a little bit about that? I know a lot of times founders get caught up in, oh my God, the pitch deck's got to look a certain way and be a certain number of pages, and all that. They get too caught up in that, I think. But what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I mean, think about it like this, which is part of what you do, which is job hunting. Yep. It's okay. I'm an investor. I need to put my money somewhere. Okay, or I'm a company. I need to hire somebody. What's the first thing you do? You write a cover letter and resume, and either they like your cover letter and resume, and you get an interview, or they don't. Your pitch deck is your resume, right? That's the first thing you send them, and either that qualifies you to get an introductory call with us. This is our operation. This is how we work.
Yeah.
And then it qualifies you to get an introductory call where you can go more in depth in certain things you feel are important. Or it's unimpressive, or it doesn't match, or for whatever reason it doesn't get you that interview. So it's think about it as it's not the end all be all, because it's not what's going to get you money in the first place.
It gets you the meeting. It gets you the meeting.
It gets you the phone call, right? And an important thing I think in life is just to have a seat at the table. So that pitch deck gets you a seat at the table. So it should be well thought out. It should be, compelling. But at the end of the day, spend more time on your company and why your company is important and the discussions than the deck.
How long do you give them on that first phone call? If you do book a call with them, what is it? I'm just curious. What's the length?
Somewhere between 30 minutes and an hour.
Okay. All right. And what percentage do you pass on? 90%, 80%?
From that first phone call, probably about 90%. Probably about 90%. Here's why, and I made this mistake. Look, I'm developing my skill set and my career along the way, and I am by no means perfect, right? But one of the things I realized is that an early no or a quick no to a company helps them out and it helps me out. Time is a limited resource, and I always try to say why no. I try not to just say no. And if I can get there quickly, I do it, because what I found is sometimes if I have 9 yellow flags and 1 green flag from an introductory call, 10 out of 10 times it ends up being a no. So instead of grasping at straws, it's best for both parties to just kind of be like, here, look, the answer is no. And so that's why it's a high percentage. It's not because I'm mean, but it's just a bandwidth thing.
If they get past the phone call and you're thinking, hey, this could be a group we're going to invest in, when it does crash before the final paperwork is signed, does it crash most of the time because the owners just refuse to give up the right amount of equity, or because you found out something they didn't tell you with regards to the numbers? What's the most common reason for it to crash towards the end?
I mean, you kind of hit on the two. I mean, you're right on those two. So I mean, first it's deal negotiation, right? At the end of the day, it has to feel good for both sides. That's ideally the last time you're ever adversarial in a sense, is when you're negotiating that. And then once you get your terms, it should be hopefully a smoother marriage from that point.
Good point.
But at that point, you're still looking out for your best interests. And so sometimes you just can't come to terms, and that happens. But on the other end, it's sometimes, we're told a story, right? We agree to things based on a story, our own market interpretation, our own research to a degree. But then when we really dive in, maybe we talk to some customers, maybe we talk to some past or existing investors, or we dive into the financials. It's not as rosy as maybe they have told us. Stuff does just start to come up, but that's the purpose of due diligence, is to make sure,
Yep.
at the end of the day, I sign my name on that investment, right? And the buck stops with me. So I'm going to do my due diligence to make sure, my reputation, my investors are protected. And so sometimes just stuff comes up. But
Yeah.
I'd say when we sign a term sheet, I'm not sure we've signed a term sheet and not investing in the company.
Okay. I am amazed, to your point on you found out something during the due diligence you didn't know. It's the same for us at our recruiting firm. I'm amazed at how often people lie, Nate. I just, I get a little bit jaded, right? I just sometimes I tell my recruiting team, I've actually said this, and this is maybe a little too far, but I'll say something like, look, every candidate is lying about something. Your job is to find out how big the lie is and whether or not, it applies. And is it a little white lie? Did they just embellish? Are they stretching the truth, or is it a blatant? Because I almost feel like they're all lying about something.
Yes, you're right. You're absolutely right. And there's a difference between lying and faking it till you make it.
You're right.
Fake it till you make it is okay. I mean, that is a good business strategy. If you make yourself look bigger, eventually you grow into that size.
I did that the very first time I was promoted to president and CEO of a $40 million company. I faked it for probably the first year.
Exactly. Nobody has any idea what they're doing, right?
No.
You fake it till you make it, but you don't lie, because the truth is that stuff ends up surfacing one way or another. And it really just, at the end of the day, it hurts. And also with job hunting, it's the same thing. We're so, and I hate job hunting. So what people like you do is phenomenal, because it is like, potentially, there's two things I tell people that I really dislike in this world. Looking for a job, because it's very difficult to do. And the second thing is people who drive slowly in the left lane. I cannot stand that. But, we're so focused when we're looking for a job, or we're looking for capital partners in getting that money or getting that job, that we try to make ourselves as presentable and perfect for that job as possible. But in reality, we have to make sure the job is a good fit for us too, right? And I know we all, if you need a paycheck, it's a different thing. You go, you get a paycheck, and you got to pay your bills. But if you have the luxury, or maybe you have an existing job and you're looking for a new one, you got to make sure it's the right company for you, because you don't want to jump ship. You don't want to do something new. You don't want to find an investor that you didn't interview, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, yeah, I got the money or I got the job, but this isn't the right situation, and this doesn't feel that comfortable. So it's got to go both ways. And unfortunately, sometimes you're going to pass. Maybe I'm offering $1 million to you, and you say, gosh, I like the $1 million. I really don't like you. So appreciate it, but we're just going to keep going this way.
Yeah, it's really good advice. And I've heard that from lots of other guests on the Riderflex podcast. They have said, look, if you're going to take money from somebody, you better make damn sure you like hanging out with them a little bit and talking to them and maybe having a beer with them. Because if you don't, it's going to be miserable.
Yeah. And the truth is, you probably know, all it takes is a 30-minute conversation, not about business, or less. I mean, it really doesn't take long. It's just some people you skip that part of the process.
The Riderflex podcast features entrepreneurs, business executives, and the stories behind how they got there, as well as daily tips on career advice and job interviews. Our show can be heard just about anywhere these days, but you can visit riderflex.com and click on the podcast page to hear all the previous episodes and learn more about the recruiting and consulting services we provide. Contact us at the email address info@riderflex.com or 888-964-5876. Thanks so much for listening, and if you enjoy our show, please be sure to subscribe to our channel and like the episodes.